Oh. Oh. Hari Om. Greetings from Niagara Falls. Let us begin by being grateful. There have been a few people in our community who passed away today. There are some people in our community whose families are not well. So everyone be grateful for your health and happiness. Close your eyes and share this with everyone in need. Nirbhayatva, arogata. May all be courageous. May all be healthy. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is working on implementing a policy whereby publicly traded companies have to report what they do that risks encouraging climate change. The President of the United States has shared tending to climate change is a moral obligation. I hope I was clear about that, moral. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has recently shared that half of the greenhouse gas emissions that is being produced can be cut if people simply demanded less fossil fuels. Half. I'm sharing all of this so that you sort of think I'm intelligent. But 2 minutes on Google, you will learn all of this too. The implication of what I'm sharing is whenever thoughts on the environment are shared, they tend to be negative. With wildfires and ocean levels rising and species becoming extinct. But everything I just shared is positive. That society is practicing ahimsa. Ahimsa is the sensitivity to live in harmony with the environment. Just look around at this community. Look at how diverse this community is. Seekers joining us from all across the world. And what for? Prithvi. This community, in this sense, is our Prthvi Sevasanga. 4 weeks ago, when we had our last workshop, I had shared that we're going to begin gifting our earth trees. And 4 weeks later, our community has planted and funded the planting of almost 15,000 trees. That's more trees than people that live in small cities. Yesterday, I got to be part of a wonderful program organized by Chinmaya Mission Portland. If you look around, the majority of seekers are from Portland. And they organized a program called Prithvi Utsava, to uplift the earth and be uplifted by the earth. And I was so moved to see many, many, many generations participating. Not just our generation, but kids who are talking about not buying new clothes, developing apps to remind you to be environmental. People are practicing ahimsa. And for that reason, let us be positive. Let us smile. And you will feel more of this with our presenter, our teacher tonight. And to introduce her, I'm inviting Prthvi, who is from Portland. He is one of the coordinators of Our Prithvi Sevasanga internationally, and certainly in Portland as well. Prthvi has been our connection to our presenter, to our teacher today. So I'm inviting him to share more about Meenakshi ji. Prthvi?
Priyam, and thank you, Vivek ji. Welcome, Meenakshi ji, and rest of the seekers. When I first heard about Prithvi Sevasanga, I told Vivek ji and team that I know somebody who has made Prithvi Seva her life's mission, somebody who has been doing this for the past 30 years. And that is our speaker today, Meenakshi ji. I know Meenakshi ji initially as someone who founded a school in rural Tamil Nadu in India as a way to teach socially and economically underprivileged children how to lead a sustainable life and create impact to the rest of society. I think functionally, I can describe Meenakshi ji as somebody who is an architect, an educator, a psychologist, and so on. But as I've gotten to know her, I would describe her more as a seeker who is honest, a seeker who is brave, and a seeker who cares deeply about our Mother Earth. So without waiting any further, I invite Meenakshi ji to give us a talk on how to practice sustainability. Welcome, Meenakshi ji.
Meenakshi ji, you're muted right now. We like to see you, but we like to hear you more.
I unmuted so that I'm not disturbing. Okay. So thank you, and I'm really honored to be able to share my learning, my life journey with all of you. And I think, like Vivek ji said, Praveen has been instrumental in connecting all of us. It's like Vivek ji was saying, I've always tried to remain on the positive side of the concern of how to respond to what's happening on the planet. And this connection with this whole community has really made me feel very, very positive and enthusiastic more. So last year, so many years, we've been kind of holding up. And then the COVID thing happened. And we were in a flux. We didn't know whether, even though we were doing so much, was it any use at all? So we went through a dip. And I think that was around the time when Praveen came back to us with all these possibilities. We said, okay, great. So when you're going down under, then Mother Earth finds something to say, no, here there are more opportunities, and there is more space where you can open your mind to receiving blessings. So it's really wonderful. Thank you so much. I thought instead of talking about sustainability, it might be better that I share my personal journey and how I have come here, and I'm able to continue to be positive because that's very important. Yeah. So to just give you a brief history of what my life has been like. I was born and brought up in Mumbai, one of the most polluted cities in the world. And as I was growing up, I kind of really felt very helpless in a space where in Mumbai there were very few trees. I had like some 10 trees around in our building, and I somehow felt very instinctively connected to trees. And there was a time, I think, when I was about 15, 16, when you're teens and you go through a lot of disturbance and turbulence in your mind, when I felt that I could talk to trees. And as I grew up, I felt that that was the only thing that would perhaps help me feel good, to plant trees. And obviously doing it in Mumbai was not going to work at all. And the whole lifestyle in Mumbai is, or rather in all cities, is so, sorry to say, depressing that there is no hope for the next day. I mean, what are you going to do? Every day it's the same thing, same rush and race. So around, I think when I was 20, 21, I decided that I'm going to go out of the city, stay closer to the earth. And that's when I actually went to Auroville for a bit. I was there in Auroville for about a couple of years. And there the connection with trees and the earth got very strong. And finally, we decided to buy a plot of land and see what we can do, And the way things were, our finances were very poor. So we had very little money with us. And the only land that we could have bought was a totally devastated, completely degraded plot of land. So that's what we bought at Puvidham, which we called it Puvidham, at Dharmapur in Tamil Nadu. So it is the arid part of the plateau. We are about 500 meters above sea level. And the rainfall is very erratic. Our average rainfall works out to about 500 millimeters. And when we bought the land, my husband was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because, this looks terrible. And we don't even know whether we'll get any groundwater over there. I said, see, this land looks so malnourished. It looks like it needs to be taken care of. And right now I want to take care of something. Because otherwise it looks like I won't be able to take care of myself. Because I was also feeling very lost and, outnumbered by most people who are so focused on their lives, whereas I was not able to focus on my life unless I could focus on creating something positive for the planet. So it was not for the planet, it was for me that I had to do it. So finally we bought the plot of land. Our first mission was to find water. So we put in a deep bore well, and we didn't get any water. And that was like for my husband, no, we're not going to be able to do this. So I said, no, let's see. And then he said, okay, then so we built a house, and I am an architect, so I wanted to build in mud because I felt that living in the arms of Mother Earth was what I wanted to do. I don't want to be in concrete or a cement house. So that was my first mud building, and we just finished building the walls and everything. And we had thought that the rains that come to Dharmapuri are the northeast monsoon, that means they start after September. So we kind of wanted to finish our construction before September. So by mid-July, we had a wonderful rain, and the walls that were like about 7 feet high, over which we were supposed to put thatch in the subsequent days, they just melted down. They just literally melted away. And that was the second sign when my husband said, no, this place is completely jinxed. We're not going to be able to do this. And that day when the walls melted away, I came. I mean, he used to be in Bangalore trying to get our basic bread and butter, and I was the one who was working with the land. So when I came in the morning, we were staying in a rented place in Dharmapur. When I came by cycle in the morning, I started crying because like, come on, what are you doing? You're making me run away from here. You're trying to send me away. And here I am trying to make all this effort to, create something over here. I cried, I think, for about an hour or so. And then finally, when it settled down, a kind of a thought appeared, that, this is not to scare you away, but this is to make you stronger. Because the worst is yet to come. and that kind of cleared my eyes, and I said, okay, this is a process of becoming positive in the face of so many negative events, and also the opportunity to reconnect with the earth, because a house which was made by the local people, and the only job I had done for that was to bring water by headloads because our borewell had failed, right? So I had to carry water and we had to fill it in drums. That was the only thing that I had done for the house that we had built, which melted away. And now I had the opportunity to build it with my own hands, to really learn about mud. So everything that is negative can be something that becomes a life lesson for us. And eventually, so that's what I did. We put up the thatch roof first on posts, and then and we were also very short of money, so I had to do it myself with one other helper. And that was such a wonderful experience to literally build your own walls and make your niches, and it kind of evolves as it goes. And that is when I really fell in love with mud as a material to construct with mud as a life-giving force. And since then, it's been a wonderful journey in terms of trying to plant trees to recover the health of that particular plot of land. And I'm happy to tell you that every year we would have planted at least 1,000 saplings, and my job was to go and water them. And like I told you, it's a very arid region, and the only water I had for each plant was 1 liter, because that was all I could carry through the day. 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. I used to carry headloads, one pot here and one pot on my hip, and so totally 40 liters in those 2 pots. And I would go and pour 1 liter for each plant, and I'd spend like half a minute saying, this is all I have. But I know you can do it. And if you don't do it, then I will fail at trying to, create something beautiful. And I can only do this. So please do your best. And it's amazing how Mother Nature responds. The way the trees, many of them would literally look like they're died out. And then once the rains came, they spring up. And it's made me feel more and more humble in how nature responds to love. Nature responds to care. Nature responds to effort that we put in. So I have always been, only in that okay, it may look very stupid that you're planting a few trees, and how is it going to really matter to the whole of the climate? But it matters first to Mother Nature that you care. That increases her power. It matters to the people who watch you, because it does affect them. This is one person who's, continuously trying to do something stupid. Maybe there is something in it. So slowly other people also start joining up. And typically, there is this little story of this bird that was trying to put out the fire. I don't know, many of you might have heard it. That there was a forest on fire, and there was a little bird. She was going to the water body, picking up a little bit of water in her beak, and was trying to douse the fire. And all the animals were standing, and they were laughing. They were saying that, come on, what are you doing? Do you think it's going to make any difference? And then she says that, it's not going to make any difference to the fire, but it will go down in history that I tried. Whereas you all stood on the side and watched the show. So it is something like this. I feel like that little bird, I'm making my best effort. And that's all that I need to do for my conscience and my well-being. I'm not doing this for the fire or for the people. I'm doing it for my own physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And when we go about doing things like this, you get support. There are people who will come and donate trees. There are people who will say that, even Praveen came to us, okay, what are you doing? You want help for construction? Prithvi Sevasanga has just come. We just started this project trying to convert farmers to organic farming, and Praveen ji came forward with this. So, it's it's amazing how nature supports you indirectly and through avenues that you would not have imagined when you start working for her and with her. So, yeah, that's more or less in very concise my very humble journey. As far as the planting of trees is concerned, I think Vivek will be able to tell us also that in our shastras and even in the general environment today in the country, people have become aware that there is something called nakshatra vanam. That means, you plant a tree according to the star under which you were born. And that tree is supposed to heal you. It's supposed to take care of your difficulties. It's supposed to guide you. Because trees are spiritual beings, and they have access to things that we don't have access to. We only work from our head. But the tree works, literally, I don't know how many of you have read these books, but there is this beautiful book called The Secret Life of Plants. And it talks about how plants have a brain in every cell, literally. So they respond to the environment from every cell. And therefore, they have access to the information in the universe as to how it's going to go, where it's going to go. They are able to give you these protection, the direction, and the support. It sounds very bizarre, but this is what I tell our children in the school, that if you take care of one tree, if you plant it, water it, and take care of it, it communicates to the whole plant world all over the planet that here is a person who is our person, he's our hands, and this person is going to do things for us, so take care of that person. I don't know if it's true, but literally, I have been walking around in the night with water, and I didn't even have a light in those days. There was no these head lamps, so there was no possibility for me to carry a torch and carry a pot. So I just walk in the dark, walk bare feet, and literally put my hand in the dark under the plant where I would have put some mulch to see if there is enough dampness. And so many times I've come across centipedes, poisonous ones, snakes, and I've never been bitten. So I kind of began to believe this, that once you start working for the planet works. And I feel very cared for. I feel very loved. I feel very safe as I'm going along this journey. And I want everybody to experience this compassion of the earth as you give compassion to the earth. As you look at everything on the planet with compassion and with love, you receive manifold of the same. So that's the way the plants can actually become part of our consciousness and take us as their consciousness and work with us. And all we need to do is become conscious of how we interact in our daily lives with the materials around us. Because it's the material world, and trying to create material wealth has brought us to where we are in terms of the climate crisis today. So the climate crisis is really not just the climate crisis. It is also the crisis of being human. We've kind of lost connection with who we really are. And once we become aware of that who I am, and if I am in complete awe of nature, rather than trying to subjugate nature and make nature work for me, things transition wonderfully. And in this journey, the path which we call the path of sustainable living, all we have to do is become aware that we are not doing any harm. It's not just the planet, it's the other people, it's the other species, it's the trees. So like I tell in school, with the children, use less. Even if it's paper, remember, cutting trees to get paper. So use less. Use minimum. Reuse every corner. Reuse. Transition it. Make something out of it. So this reduce, reuse, and replace, things that are not organic with something that is organic. That's all I have to request all of you. Thank you so much. Like I said, when you give love and compassion, you get many more. So we had thought that today would be a beginning for all of us to start expressing our love for the planet. Maybe we love. I think everybody knows deep inside that they are connected with the planet and they couldn't do without it. But they are not able to express, or they are not vocal or explicit about it. So today we will write a love letter to Mother Earth. To be involved in sustainability is just a matter of taking that little extra effort that will ensure that everything that you're doing is in harmony, and like Vivek would say, is totally ahimsa. So it just requires a little more effort. That, okay, it's like, at least in India, if you want to buy food, then you can easily take a lunchbox and get it in that rather than get it in the wrappings. We understand that people have a lot of pressures and definitely they cannot take care of all their needs by themselves. So simple things like when you have, say, fruits, it's very easy. All this is now available on Google, and if you want, we can even have a personal workshop towards that end. How to make bioenzymes so that your house is completely free of chemicals for your washing, for your cleaning, for your maintaining the space. Even these fresheners, all these have very poisonous chemicals. So how can we slowly eliminate them from our spaces? That is one thing that we can do. It is actually direct impact to our own physical health. Then it has second impact on our mental consciousness level. And finally, it has impact on livelihood of people who are trying to create these products. Rather than these multinational products that are available off the shelf, you have to go the little extra mile to acquire and reach out for these kind of locally available solutions. I'm sure there are, even where you are, somebody who is making something. If not, there are options available a little further, so you can reach out. As far as Puvidham is concerned, yes, you're very welcome to come and volunteer here. But volunteering in Puvidham is more like it's karma yoga. You have to come and you have to put your hands into the work. It's not a desk job. So that's the way we have maintained our philosophy of learning and living. That all of us, including me, we do at least 3 to 4 hours of physical work every day. Because that is the only contribution that we can really make to the planet. Create something with our own hands. Right? Even if it is creation of a clean space, rather than use a machine. If I do it with my own hands, I've saved that much of the pollution that was going to happen. So very simple things like this. And yes, funds, of course, you can donate to Puvidham. And I think Prthvi Sevasanga, they have a opening for it. So it would definitely be of great help. We've started this project with the farmers this year itself. So farming, converting farmers to organic farming, trying to introduce concepts of biodynamic farming and permaculture to them. And also employing local youth in the process, because you need to work with the farmers and you need people to do that. So we train them and then they start working with farmers. So yes, every drop counts. So Yeah, the sustainable living workshops are normally about 4 to 5 hours of interaction with the participants. And we have a social entrepreneur enterprise, which we call Mud Hive. And we could share the possibility of having a workshop for your time zone, because our time zone is very different. We do our workshops in the afternoon from 10 to 12. And that would, so we could work out something that is it's possible for people to attend. And in that workshop, we talk about how the sustainability is, sustainable living is like a word that's become very fashionable. And it seems that it's mostly about the physical and material things. But actually, it is much deeper. It's more spiritual. It's a spiritual journey, because you have to connect with the planet to be able to become sustainable. You can't just do some, tick off some things. That is the beginning. That is not the end. It's much deeper, and you have to understand what it means to be sustainable, to be a minimalist, to be a conscious consumer. So yes, we have a workshop for that. Maybe I can share the possible link, and Praveen ji can put it up. Yes, so we could try that. Like, people more conscious, then I'm really very happy to do a workshop. There are plenty of options which are basically waste of what you do at home. I mean, waste food, waste peels of vegetables, everything can be converted into compost, can be reused. Waste peels can be made into, like citrus peels, they can be made into cleaners for the interior environment. Whereas even simple thing like banana peels, you can either dry them or you can make a tea out of it, and that works as a wonderful fertilizer for your grass. And you can give it with the water. So, because you must remember that you're treading on it and it's getting into your skin and finally getting into your blood. So, try and avoid as much as possible all these options. And it's very easy. I'm sure if you make the little effort, you can find many solutions on the Google, search. But yes, on when we do the sustainability workshop, we can definitely share all these options, whatever we have learned. And they're very simple. It's just a matter of being a little disciplined and doing it regularly. You can't pile it up. You can't pile up your waste and say, I'll deal with it later. It doesn't work like that. It has to become a part of your everyday lifestyle. So, possible. No, you'd rather grow herbs, which you can take and make your own tea, instead of drinking the tea which is available. See, I stopped drinking tea about 30 years back when I went to see Darjeeling with my parents. We went as a trip, and I was like, what have they done to the forest? They've cleaned the hills and planted tea. I'm not, going to be part of this destruction anymore. That day I stopped having tea. And I said, what is tea? It's some green leaves in water. Why can't I put other leaves? Then I realized that, oh, you can, you can put guava leaves, you can put lemon leaves, you can put tulsi leaves, you can put any leaf. And you can actually put even neem leaves, and you get a bitter tea. And it's very good for health. So it's just our attitudes that define how we take these challenges forward. You go and see, it seems very beautiful on a picture, the tea gardens. But if you see what it was like before, the Sholay forest, oh my God, it breaks my heart to see that. So, all of us, if we decide we don't want tea, they'll either turn all the tea to organic, which means that they will allow the forest to regenerate among the tea plants. Or they'll completely stop growing tea, and anyway Mother Nature will take over. It's our demand, our what we think is, maybe it's an addiction, maybe it's a fad, maybe it's a social event, just drinking tea. Can we change these small things? So, yeah, similarly with the lawn. I mean, what do you want? if you want to use the space, then there are a lot of other herbs that you can grow around it. Even the grass that comes naturally on that particular soil would be much more in harmony, and you will actually have much less maintenance than a proper lawn grass. So I'm sure that if you go out of your a city into the countryside, you will find this grass which is growing wild and natural. All you need to do is bring a few, use an instrument, bring a little bit, start planting that and allow it to grow wild. It takes one season. Believe me, our land was devoid even of grass. There was nothing there. Land completely full of stones. And it was overgrazed. There were no trees. It was totally finished. And all we did is protect it. And the natural, and it was the way Mother Nature works. It's amazing. The first grass that came up on the land was so full of, a thorny kind of, as soon as the grass came up, it came up with the seeds, which were very thorny. So no animal could eat it. That's the way she protects herself. I want this. This is for me, not for you. And she made this grass. Over 5 to 6 years, the quality of grass changed. I don't know where the seeds come from. But this very thorny grass, it started to come only in very, very difficult patches. And all the other patches became edible for animals. And then we could start raising sheep. Because that is the harmony. That's how nature works. She can't do things alone. She has to first, create some biomass. Then she creates food for the animals who convert the green leaves into manure and give it back to her. And then she creates something even more healthy. So more animals, more birds. That's the process. You don't really have to do nothing. So, it's how we perceive all of this. I think even before thinking about what impact dairy products and sugar has on the environment, you have to think about what impact it has on your body. That is much more personal. And if your body is not healthy, then you cannot deal with all the other problems. So sugar actually is the one single product that increases the acidity of your body. And that causes a lot of course, the diseases are there, but it also takes away from your energy because it gives you spurts. You feel very energetic and then you feel fatigued. If you want a continuous level of good energy, you have to stop using sugar. It's very simple. And dairy products, if you have a farm and you know where your milk is coming from, then yes. But otherwise, most of the milk, at least that I know of, which is available as a dairy product, is not milk. If you see the kind of hormones and nutrition which they call it's going into the animals, and the way the animals are treated themselves, they're treated like not with love. They're treated like things that produce. They're like it's not a cow; it's a factory that produces milk. That connection with the life of that animal does not exist in the produce because the person who is dealing with that is not given it that compassion, that love. So it's not just about the nutrition that comes with the food; it's spiritual energy. So, the more you have the produce that has been treated like a thing rather than like a living thing, the more dead your body becomes. I think the meaning of the word ahimsa is very deep. It's not just killing animals. It is also killing the soil. Like if you're continuously engaging in eating processed food, it's also killing your body. So I think at least here at Puvidham, so I can only talk from that reference point, right? So I am born a pure vegetarian. I'm born in an Arya Samaji family, and we are not people who eat any meat. But when I moved out of the house and I traveled to, when I had to travel to Oregon. So the stopgap was the house of a friend. Her father was the Inspector General of Police in Pondicherry, and he offered us his space to stay and then go and visit Oregon. And so we stayed the night. And the next morning, when we woke up, there was tiger prawns on the plate. He just asked, "So do you eat non-vegetarian?" And this is there. And many times I just do these things. I just said yes. I've never ever in my life had anything, even egg. But on that day, I just nodded my head. Instead of doing this, I said this. And once I had said it, I had committed to it, right? So I ended up eating, and I didn't know how to operate that whole thing. So I ate the tiger prawn for the first time, and it didn't come out. I didn't because I thought I would have puked it out. And later on, I kind of tried to process it in my head. I mean, what did happen? And I think it was the offering. It's not even I think in Buddha, in one of his talks, there is a bhikshu who brings mutton in his bowl. And he asks Buddha, "See, they've given me this. What should I do?" So he just says, "Eat it." So it's that. It's how we look at it. Of course, it's changed since Buddha's time, because now it's like on the farm in Puvidham, we grow our own food, but we also grow our own meat. So we have chicken, we have goats, and the logic is that it's like in the tribal communities, like in the Indian communities, in Indian American communities also. You talk to the spirit of the animal, and you are able to communicate to it that look, I'm just looking for food, and I ask for forgiveness, and you do the part of allowing the life to go away as gently as possible. The saving is that you have had that animal with you and completely happy and free, and love and compassion was given, and everything has to die sooner or later. And it's just that it's becoming true. So now I have come to that space that ahimsa is not just about not eating meat or meat. It is the whole process of how it has been grown, how it has been converted from an living animal to dead meat. So that's where I stand now. But it's to each one his own. So the first time that I had to, give meat to my daughter because she became addicted to it, I had stopped. I would eat only when there was no other option. Whatever was offered, okay, I would eat. But she started to smell the meat from the neighbors, and she would go and sit there to eat. So I said, okay, might as well cook it. And the first time I had to cook meat, I said, I should kill. At least that much courage I should have. If I cannot kill, I should not eat. And that's what I did. So this was a rooster that I used to literally eat off my, I used to come and peck here and eat. And then I was holding him, and I was like, look, I have to convert you into meat. And I was crying, and my daughter's asking me a very simple question. Why are you crying? You want meat, so I have to kill this animal now. And she said, then don't kill it. I will eat in the neighbor's house. So that kind of shook me up. I said, okay. So now, and so, tried to do it as painlessly as possible. And then we cooked the meat. It was a very difficult time. I couldn't eat it at all. And even today, out of choice, I don't go. But whatever is offered, I take it. So I don't know if that answers your question, or it sounds very brutal. But yeah, I think as animals, as human animals, we have come through this. We have to hunt for our food, and it's the frame of mind that with which we are doing it is more important. The ahimsa is here, not here. Yes, actually, we found that even children, from what we feel, affluent families who are used to, creature comforts, they take to simplicity and minimalism very automatically. Of course, you need to have a dialogue with them. Like we don't have any fans or AC in Puvidham, and we kind of try to do as much as possible with the way we build and live the way, live in the temperature that's outside. So when children come and they complain about all these things, we teach them the alternatives. Like you can, dip your shirt and wring it out and then wear it. So it's, so you're using the physics principle of evaporation to put your foot. So we kind of make it into a learning journey while understanding that you don't need these comforts. You can do, there are alternatives. And many children, we do workshops for children, which we call Freedom in Minimalism. And it's a 1 week workshop, 8 days workshop. And everything from how to use water, or so we call it increasing the mileage of water. Every drop of water that you use goes to the end and back to the soil. So how do we, do that? All that is discussed in the first day when we do this Freedom and Minimalism workshop. The idea is that the children are going to manage and maintain the whole show. So we adults are just on the periphery. It's their space, and so we just tell them the principles. And we've been amazed. We've had workshops where about 100 children have used 11,000 liters of water in 8 days. Just that much. Just see and happy and done their bathing, washing, everything was done. It's not like anything was skipped. Cooking. So the response from children is very, very powerful. Not only that, they take it home. And when at home, when their father is like turned on the tap and is brushing, they come and they put it on. Don't know the value of water. Yes, children respond much, much more from, I think, deeper, they absorb this deeper because they're still in connect with themselves. Adults have somehow broken that connection with their depth. But for kids, they're still in contact with themselves. They're still intuitive. That really matters. I think a very important part of our personal journey is, even if you're not talking about the planet or just about myself, to get out of our comfort. That is a compulsive part of our journey to know who we really are. And definitely, being in Mumbai and being used to fans and all this, and then going to an environment where all this is not available. In Auroville, we are also close to the sea in Auroville, but there are no fans. So initially, it does feel that it's not going to be possible. But then slowly your body, you have to give time to our body. So what is happening in the mind, it has to start connecting with what's happening in the body. And that time is what I think many people are not able to take. That they're not able to, you can understand the concept, but it is difficult to transition into action because of the physical discomfort of doing. And we have to understand that it has to be, it's like, it has to be weaned off. The comfort also has to be weaned off. Slowly, step by step by step. You can't stop things just one fine day. In my case, it just happened one fine day because I just left the whole space. And that's why this getting out of your comfort zone helps. So if you want your children to understand or to be able to live with minimum comforts, just take them on a trek. Go for a camp, 8 days, just out in the wild. Once you can live there, you can live anywhere. You don't need these things, So that is why this camp that we do, Freedom in Minimalism, it's very bare, completely. All the kids have to do their own washing, their own cleaning. They have to make their own food. We help, but we're all chopping, cutting, cleaning. And this work of keeping our body alive, which we've outsourced in most of the cases, this is the creative work which is giving life to our body. The food is only giving nutrition. The life is coming from the fact that we are doing it by ourselves. So just that 15 days, 8 days when the children do it, they experience a different level of energy in the food. And we talk to them about it. So when you make it yourself, there's so much love, so much energy in it. That's when it really feeds your spirit, not just your body. So these kind of activities, when you make it a part of your life, like, regularly go out, maybe 1 week a month or 1 weekend a month to a place where there is none of the comfort that, you normally have. And then when you come back, take out one, slowly, one by one, minimalize. So I guess it is a long-term project, and it has to start with one step. If we try to reach the goal without trying to go through the steps, then of course we never get there. Okay, so of being in Puvidham, it's one thing that never even came, the thought that never even came that I have to leave this place. I was there, come whatever, And like when Vivek was saying now, it was also incidental that Puvidham, the land that we bought, was registered on the date on which I was born, which happens to be April 29th. It's the same date that you guys are going to celebrate. So it's also a celebration for all of us over here. And that connection, that this land is born on the same day as me, for me, I had never a doubt that I'm going to leave it. So I don't know, by some divine intervention, it happened like this. But for simple things like when I have to travel, when I have to come to Mumbai, say, I have the choice of taking air or coming by AC or coming by the regular second class ticket. So when it's an emergency, it's not like you can always, take the same count on the same question. So like it was an emergency, my mom is in hospital, we don't know, she might be there for a day or she might be there for a week. I took a flight. When I went back, I took a train, and I took a train in which I was, it's a second class. So it was hard, but it's like each situation has a different demand and you have to respond to it. You can't stick by your values like an idiot, So you have to see. So like when I go for my site visits, sometimes it's an emergency, I have to do 2-3 site visits in a time, then I take the car. That's fine. It's not like just because I've decided to live a sustainable life, I no longer travel by car or by air. I think these idealistic kind of, you can't even call them values, because they are like unreasonable kind of demands from yourself. You can't be unreasonable to yourself. Finally, if I am not healthy, I cannot do anything. So I have to take care of that aspect of my body and my mind and my time, what I'm doing with that. So when I'm spending so much, what is the result? I have to kind of balance it. Each time it's a balance. There's no one, you don't do this. There is nothing like that. You do it in different conditions. There's no one truth, like Vivek would say, Each moment has its own truth.
Meenakshi, the question that I had was, you had mentioned that living with the earth is spiritual and all of us are seekers. How do we shake our apathy? How do we shake our tamas? How do we shake our comfort that it's comfortable buying a new coat and investing in one's kitchen and so on, having a lawn? How do we shake all of that off and truly live like you are? Can you give us some spiritual ways to do that?
Thank you, Vivek, for a very tough question. So, I guess the only way that we can stop thinking about our own comfort is when we start thinking of the comfort of the whole. Because as long as we are thinking only of the comfort of our body, and we are trying to, make these decisions whether I should buy this or I should not buy this. It is going to be a tough decision because we have to present ourselves to so many people, and that is what I think makes us consume. We consume goods in competition, whether we are fully aware of it or unconsciously, because we have to keep up an image of who we are, and so the realization of who we really are is a very important part of shaking away the apathy. It's like, am I the person that I show to everybody else? Am I really that person? That is where the spiritual journey begins. So the knowledge of the self and the comfort that comes with knowing that, okay, this is who I am, that is the first level. And second is acceptance of who I am. Like, if I'm somebody who's planting trees and everybody is telling me that you're a fool, then I have to come to terms with the thing that, yes, I'm a fool. But I'm happy to be a fool. So as long as we try to keep presenting ourselves to please others, we will not be able to understand our connection with ourselves and our connection with the planet. And even the comfort, how we slowly wean it away. You can't just stop with one finding. You have to wean it away. So each time we are buying something, that's where the role of conscious consumerism comes in. Okay, I'm buying a coat. Where am I buying it from? Okay, maybe I need one. Where am I buying it from? Am I buying it from somebody who is already a brand and all that? Or am I going to take the extra pain to try and get it from some local artisan who made it by their hand? So it's a journey that is more in compassion with all the humans and with the planet, and first of all with ourselves. Actually, in school we do a very, very simple exercise, which is as the beginning of this journey. I just share it here with you. It's like we say that as you wake up in the morning, you look into the mirror, look deep into your eyes, and say, like, if I'm looking into the mirror, I just say, Meenakshi, I love you. You're the most beautiful human being on this planet. Thank you for being here with me. And I will always be here for you. And together, we will create a beautiful planet. And when we do this, this kind of breaks the apathy, because you cannot look into your eyes and say this if you've been doing something that is not in the framework of ahimsa. And it sounds very foolish, but it gives you so much power. It's like once you begin to love yourself, only then you can expect anybody else to love you, right? It's a very simple thing. I keep telling the kids, if you don't love yourself, who will love you? And the other aspect, if you can't love yourself, whom can you love? Because you know yourself completely, or at least you should have spent the time to do that. So I think it's a lot of things that need to be done parallelly. And the most important journey is inside. Things that are outside that will transition slowly. But the journey inside is what is going to make the impact. Do I really need this? Do I really, why am I doing this? These questions are what we need to keep asking. I don't know if that really answers and helps, or
it's a wonderful answer. My wife Sheila's beside me, and she said, wow, that's a really powerful response. And I was thinking in my mind that I tell Sheila this all the time, but it has no impact coming from me. So we're really happy that that's why I introduced you as a teacher. I don't know if you caught that or not. You called yourself a seeker, but I called you a teacher. So we really are appreciative of you leading by example. Makes complete sense. This workshop has been special and continues to be special because it's a joint workshop between our Chinmaya Mentorship Program and Prithvi Sevasanga. How many of you are part of the Chinmaya Mentorship Program by show of hands? A lot of hands of mentors and mentees. If this is captivating to you, then do go to our website and learn more about the Chinmaya Mentorship Program. Our program, we try to be as professional as possible, which means we try to be as confidential as possible. There are some minors in our program, though. And when a minor is going through a tough time and they share this with their mentor, then we need to share the same with their parents. That way, this is more holistic, that there's multiple generations involved. So I wanted to share that special message to all of the minors in our program. If you're going through a tough time, we're looking to find more resources to support you. Tough times happen, and the more hands that are helping, the sooner that tough time passes. And thinking about generations, another aspiration of our mentorship program is to work with our Vanaprastha culture. It'll be so lovely to have 3 generations together in the same program. So stay tuned for that. As for Prithvi Sevasanga, last month we had a special workshop on our Shastra, on our environment. What does the Upanishad, what does the Gita, what does the Bhagavatam have to share about our environment? Those recordings are now on our YouTube channel. Watch them for yourself and watch them as a center, as a community, to see how clear Sanatana Dharma is about being environmental. Then, as was shared, this Friday, April 29th, is Arbor Day. It is a day to celebrate trees. And we have celebrated a lot, but it's never enough. And that's why our community, we must reach that aspiration of planting 1,000 trees to fund the planting of 17,000 trees. So our community will have helped the earth with 18,001 trees. Our older son, Vyasa, will be turning 5 in June. So we're going to facilitate his Akshara Abhyasa. He'll learn how to write for the first time, symbolically. He knows how to write, but symbolically, he'll learn how to write. And a very thoughtful family from Cleveland, they're here now. They had given me $50 for Vyasa's Akshara Abhyasa, because during an Akshara Abhyasa, you are to worship trees. So they gave $50 towards Plant 141. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of ahimsa and the sensitivity of this community. Puja Swami Tejomayananda has shared, you should give so regularly that you stop feeling that you are the giver. Isn't that what we're trying to learn in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad? Less deservership, less doership. For all of you who are part of the Contentment Challenge, thank you. If you're not, please be part of this. Within this challenge, there's an aspect called contribution. And our aspiration now, as soon as we complete what we're doing on Arbor Day, is that our community will contribute $100,000 towards 3 charities that are serving the air, the ocean, and the one that I really want to share that is special. The World Wildlife Foundation does not, this is what I'm told, does not organize specific charities for specific causes. You just donate to them and they do what is best. But for our community, they've made an exception. That the World Wildlife Foundation has organized a campaign where our community will support endangered species in Bharat. Most of us are of Indian origin, so we're giving back to our mother in such dynamic ways. The last time I was with Puja Swami Tejromayananda, our yatris, we had pledged $100,000 to him. And when I said this, then he looked at everyone and he said, "It's very expensive being with him." It's expensive being associated with me. If only Guruji knew what we've been doing the last 3 years. It's exponentially expensive to be with me, but who are you giving back to? You're just giving back to this generation, the next generation. So continue to invoke ahimsa, sensitivity. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.